As the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens. We're saying goodbye to May and looking ahead with hope for new opportunities in the month to come. Hi there, everyone. I'm Adrian Atkinson, and you've just opened the pages to today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. We've got lots in store for you, so stay with us. But first, let's hear what's making news from our newsroom.
Good day, I'm Jabertha Atkinson, and this is your GIS News for Friday, May 30, 2025. Government has welcomed the United States' decision to upgrade its travel advisory for Jamaica from a Level 3 to a Level 2, which is expected to have a significant positive impact on the tourism sector. Americans are now being advised to exercise increased caution rather than reconsider travel to the island. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the upgrade, which is an encouraging development, is not incidental but a reflection of the hard work, commitment, and discipline his administration has brought to bear in matters of national security and foreign affairs.
It is the direct result of years of targeted policy implementation, investments in security infrastructure, and sustained diplomatic engagement. It signals to the international community that Jamaica is safer and a more secure destination, not only for visitors, but for residents, for citizens.
Dr. Holness was addressing a special post-cabinet press briefing held at Jamaica House yesterday. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, who was also on hand, similarly welcomed the development, which she says is a timely acknowledgement of Jamaica's continued progress in enhancing public safety.
The improved level acknowledges even lower risk levels for visitors, because you would recall that we have shared previously, and Minister Bartlett would never forgive me if I did not remind, that Jamaica is rated as one of, if not the safest resort location in the entire Latin America and Caribbean region, with a Gallup rating of 0.01%.
Level 2 ratings by the U.S. government are reviewed annually, and Minister Johnson-Smith says the Jamaican government remains engaged with its partners in Washington, D.C. to ensure that future advisories are based on accurate data and are framed in balanced language. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is warning persons overseas and on the island involved in efforts to smuggle guns and ammunition into Jamaica that the security forces and partners will be relentless in tracking them down.
We will find them, and we will find you. And we are serious about this. We will meet your persistence with our commitment. We will strengthen our intention with even greater investment. We will overcome organized criminal enterprises in Jamaica.
The Prime Minister was speaking against the backdrop of a major weapons find on Wednesday as 233 firearms and over 40,000 rounds of ammunition were intercepted. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang echoed the Prime Minister's sentiments.
That going on our streets is designed to create mayhem. The security force, working with customs and all agencies, including our partners, will track them down, will find them. These organizers are worse than the shooters. They must be taken off the street.
Dr. Chang revealed that so far this year, the police have seized 695 firearms, more than 80% of the record amount seized in 2024. He stressed that this and other positive indicators are the direct result of government's focused investment in public safety and public order through Plan Secure Jamaica. In highlighting the impact, the security minister pointed out that up to yesterday, Jamaica's murder rate was seeing a 43.3% decline over what it was in the same January to May period last year.
This is the lowest rate of homicide in Ireland since 1991. The projected rate for this year, if we continue as we are, will be 24 per 100,000, which will be the lowest since 1991.
Meanwhile, a report by the National Commission on Violence Prevention addressing social violence is expected to go to Cabinet shortly. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the report from the Commission, which was chaired by Professor Maureen Sams-Vaughan, will be tabled in Parliament once it has been reviewed by Cabinet.
This report, we hope, will trigger a national conversation about who we are as a people and why violence has become such a featured part of our national profile, and how are we going to change that. The government has already contemplated certain actions that we will have to take, particularly dealing with how violence is dealt with in the schools, how violence is dealt with at home, and how violence is dealt with our women and girls.
Dr. Holness says the government has long recognized as it works to reduce the murder rate and organized violence, social violence will have to take central focus and activity.
And it will require legislative changes, it will require institutional changes, and it will require a strong partnership with civil society to finally put this behind us. If we accomplish this as a nation, we are well on our way. We are right at the inflection point. So if we solve the fiscal issues in the economy, which we have built resiliency in the economy, which we are now doing, and then we solve the issue of violence, ain't no stopping us after that.
Cabinet has approved the establishment of a National Technical Working Group on Voluntary and Involuntary Migrants. This was disclosed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, during yesterday's special post-cabinet press briefing. She says it forms part of the government's expanded reintegration and rehabilitation strategy designed to address all categories of returnees.
We now have a subgrouping of those who are returning of their own motion, determining the circumstances in the U.S. to not be where they wish to remain, and those who are being returned, those who have the decision made for them.
The technical working group comprises several ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as civil society partners, and is chaired by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ. Oversight will be provided by the Ministries of National Security and Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Their mandate is to coordinate reintegration services and to ensure that returnees are supported in a structured and sustainable manner.
And this includes their reception, verification, health checks, security, vetting, and access to social and legal support. Where necessary, and I say this to citizens who are particularly concerned about those who return with serious criminal antecedents, monitoring and detention measures are in place. They will be applied.
The minister gave the update in the context of reports that approximately 2,500 Jamaicans have been confirmed for removal from the U.S. over a period of time to be determined by logistics, their own legal processes, and other factors. She stressed that the Jamaican government remains committed, together with its partners, to treating all returnees with dignity and fairness while upholding national security interests. Craft markets across Jamaica could soon benefit from enhanced internet access as the Universal Service Fund, USF, collaborates with government agencies to bridge the digital divide and boost economic opportunities for local entrepreneurs. Chief Executive Officer of the USF, Carlton McFarlane, says the push for digital inclusion spans multiple sectors and key areas of commerce.
Starting, of course, with one of the largest craft market, which is the Kingston craft market. We are way advanced in dialogue there to put internet into these locations, because we know that the internet enhances commerce. It enhances an entrepreneur's ability to advertise their goods and services, and to also increase the demand for their goods and services.
Mr. McFarlane, who was speaking at a recent JIS think tank, says efforts are also underway to equip 220 JUTC buses with Wi-Fi.
We are in the process now, we are in procurement stage now for getting the infrastructure to put in place the Wi-Fi on our buses. June coming, I think there's another 100 buses, right? So we are looking to put the Wi-Fi on all of those buses. right? Which means that during transit, our commuters will have access to the internet.
Meanwhile, the USF has additional plans to power select Wi-Fi sites using solar energy.
We are looking to start a project now where we are looking to solarize some of our community Wi-Fi points. Right? This we expect will bring significant savings to our operations, and as such free up resources so we can invest greater in other areas.
And finally, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining is set to more than triple its tractor fleet by the end of July this year. This boost comes with the arrival of 4 high-powered tractors expected on the island by July, which will join 2 that were delivered to the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA in early May. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green shared the update during his sectoral debate presentation in Parliament on Tuesday. He also announced that the ministry was purchasing 6 walk-behind tractors, each equipped with plows, planters and harvesters to assist small farmers operating in challenging terrain.
We're not stopping there. 2 onion potato hybrid harvesters, 4 walk-behind seed planters, 1 rotavator, 6 motorized soil augers for the farmers in South Trelawney so that they can go up into those terrains and prepare the land to plant the best yam in the world.
Meanwhile, under the Hills to Ocean project, Minister Green says 4 new tractors and their implements will be acquired and designated for Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary and St. Andrew.
Under the AIC, we have said if you have an agri-park, the agri-park must have a tractor. So this year, we're purchasing 1 tractor for the Plantation Garden River Agri-Park in St. Thomas, 2 tractors for Parnassus in Clarendon, and I know the Member of Parliament cousins will be celebrating. And 3 tractors for Bridgepen Amity Hall in St. Catherine.
Additionally, the National Irrigation Commission will soon receive 2 backhoes and an amphibious excavator to boost the sector's equipment fleet. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Jabertha Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
Keep your heart beating strong. Your health is your wealth. Practice healthy habits. 30 minutes a day keeps heart disease away. Choose life.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Do you have questions about how to get a food handler's permit? Our next feature will explain the process plus the importance of obtaining such a document.
Juicy, buy a juice from me now.
A cool bag juice sounds just about right, but do you have a permit? Whether you're selling juice on the corner, baking gizadas at home, or running a full-service restaurant, there's one thing every food operator in Jamaica must have: a food handler's permit. Issued under the Public Health Food Handling Regulations, this permit is mandatory for anyone involved in preparing, serving, transporting, or handling food across the island. And here's why.
It means that you would be in conformance with the Public Health Food Handling Regulations. And so it is important that persons make their application so that they can get the requisite training in an effort to ensure that the foods that are offered to the public are safe, wholesome, and free from any form of contamination.
So, how do you apply for a food handler's permit? It's easier than you might think.
It is quite simple. It's a simple process. You would need to complete the prescribed application form. You would also be required to submit 2 passport-size photographs. In addition, you are expected to pay the requisite application fee, which is $500. You will be given an appointment date and time to visit one of our venues for the training session, to be interviewed and to sit a test.
For applicants in the Southeast Regional Health Authority parishes, a TRN may also be needed for tracking your application.
The persons who apply for food handlers permits would normally be screened. A series of questions would be asked for the health interview, and this is to ascertain the health status of the applicants, because anyone who acquires a food handler's permit would be deemed to be fit and proper to handle food, prepare food, serve food for human consumption. And as such, these persons have to meet the requirements on the medical interview. Once you are successful in completing the process, then you'll be able to get your food handler's permit. On average, it would normally take 6 weeks or thereabout from application to acquiring the food handler's permit. In some cases, particularly in the other parishes outside of Southeast, it would take a much shorter period of time. However, it can take longer whenever we have challenges, but we try our endeavor best to ensure that employers who need to know that their employees have completed the process successfully are provided with a letter which is temporary.
My food handler's permit does help me, because when I do events like these, or even when I go to like Hope Gardens, first thing first, the public health inspector come around, "Hey chef, you have your food handlers?" I say, "Yes man, here it is," and I pop it out just like this and show them my food handlers is up to date, legit and ready to go.
The inspectors are required to monitor food handling establishments at least twice yearly. We would normally certify the businesses, and once the businesses are certified, then we would do an additional assessment or inspection to ensure that they are operating in accordance with the public health food handling regulations. But you have to bear in mind too that resources are limited, and as such we have to do risk ranking, where we focus and monitor more frequently high risk operations, medium risk operations. For low risk operations, they are not neglected, they are also monitored, but certainly not as frequently as we would monitor high risk and medium risk operations.
High-risk establishments are those directly involved in serving, preparing, or handling potentially hazardous foods such as milk, eggs, cheese, fish, and various meats like chicken, beef, pork, and goat. Low-risk establishments, on the other hand, are those that sell prepackaged or sealed items such as peanuts, bottled water, and confectionaries.
If it is that persons would have committed violations, we would seriously have to consider the nature of the violation and the type of violations committed, and whether or not the person has been rehabilitated. And as such, each case, each situation would have to be dealt with on its own merit.
So, how to get the application form to become certified?
The Application form is online. It may be downloaded from SARA's website, Southeast Regional Health Authority's website. It may also be downloaded from the website of the Ministry of Health and Wellness and completed. However, applicants would still need to visit the local health department in order to apply, because you'll be given an appointment date and an appointment time, and you're expected to return on that day and at the required time to be interviewed.
Having a food handler's permit isn't just about compliance. It builds trust with your customers and ensures you're ready for any health inspection that might come your way. Don't take chances. Get certified, stay compliant, and help keep Jamaica's food safe.
Keep that smile on their faces and preserve their innocence. Cherish the moments you have with them and create the best memories. Let's inspire our children to dream big and work hard to achieve all they aspire to be. Take the time to listen to our children and really hear their side of the story. Our children deserve love and the right to access their basic needs. Do your part and protect our children.
We're shining a spotlight on mental health, tackling the stigma and clarifying the difference between mental health and mental illness. The breakdown is next.
Mental health and mental illness are related, but at the same time, distinct concepts.
Mental health is an umbrella term that's used a lot that encompasses mental health and well-being and mental illness, but they're actually two different concepts. So mental health talks about our feelings, the way we express ourselves, the way we cope with issues and problems, and that's something that we have to work on every day. Mental illness is about syndromes or behavioral symptoms that we notice based on persons changing their behaviors and their thoughts.
And it is very important to distinguish between the two.
Because every single body has mental health or should be working on their mental health. Not everybody will be diagnosed with a mental illness, and the way in which we approach, if we recognize that we're mentally unhealthy or if we're looking at being diagnosed with a mental illness, is very different.
It is also important to note that one can occur without the other.
So for instance, if you realize that life is coming at you with several things and you're feeling very stressed, you're not managing or not coping, the things you may notice, for instance, would be maybe you're not sleeping well, or some people actually sleep too much, or we stress eat, or we lose our appetites, or we find ourselves not necessarily enjoying anything anymore. That doesn't mean you have a mental illness. We have several kinds of mental illnesses, and then those have their own presenting symptoms. So you can be mentally unhealthy without a mental illness, and somebody who has a mental illness and is cooperating in their recovery and treatment can be mentally healthy.
Another myth being debunked about those with mental illnesses, but there are others which present a threat and prolong stigmas.
Most common one I would say is that people assume if you have a mental illness that you are no longer a contributing productive member of society. That's not true. The next one would be that there's no way to treat and or cure. That's also not necessarily true. And I would say the last one is, I think people assume if you talk about it, you're going to catch it. That's also not true.
These stigmas contribute to people not seeking the necessary help to aid them in living a full life despite their mental state.
This is one of the challenges that we have, whether it's mental health or mental illness. People don't necessarily like to go and get help for anything that says mental. But if we're looking for some signs, I would say if you're mentally unhealthy and you've tried relaxation techniques, you've tried the self-care, you've tried stress management and it's not working, that would be a great time to get some professional help to help you get your mental health back. If we're talking about mental illnesses, any sign or symptom that you're displaying, so if persons are not being rational when they speak or how they think, not caring for their hygiene or things like that that we notice, then we need a professional because you need to be assessed, to be diagnosed, and then you need treatment. So that definitely requires you to get help, and if a person has suicidal thoughts, that's what we call a psychiatric emergency. That one needs professional help right away. There are mental health clinics in all our parishes. We have a suicide line and a mental health line at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and they also have an email address. We have Family Life Ministries that offers counseling. We have Rise Life, and they offer specific help for suicide and substance abuse. We have the women's centers who have opened places for women who are being abused. And we have UNICEF has a WhatsApp number that helps adolescents up to young adults. And the last thing that we've had, somebody in Jamaica has created an app called Let's Talk About It.
The proper help can only come through understanding the difference and knowing where to turn for help.
What's the last thing that you did for your mental health? Something that makes you feel relaxed and de-stressed. And the other thing I'd say for mental illness is get the information and be in the know. It may not be you, but it could be somebody you know, and you may need to help them.
Next on My Mind and Me.
We have a manual we call the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that tells us the different types of mental illnesses. There are many. From the top of my head, I'd probably say at least 16 classifications, and under each classification we have different disorders. The most common ones I could say globally, and perhaps similarly for Jamaica, would be anxiety disorders, are one of the biggest groups. That includes anxiety itself and includes like panic attacks or panic disorder. That one has about 200 million people globally.
As background checks become more common for employment and overseas travel, a clean police certificate is now extremely essential. A police record or certificate is an official document issued by the Criminal Records Office CRO of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It outlines an individual's history of criminal convictions or confirms if they have a clean background. In a recent episode of the JCF's Force for Good podcast, local and international manager at the CRO, Sergeant Kenroy Legister, explained the process of obtaining a police record in Jamaica.
First thing that they should do is to pay the fee at the tax office. It's any tax office island-wide. Or, since of late, the TAJ app has that service that the person can sign in to the app and pay the fee. And the fees are $3,000 for the 1 month service, that's 21 working days, and $6,000 for a 1 week service, 5 working days. After paying the fee, then the person would visit the Police Certificate Application Management System website.
On the Police Certificate Management System website, create an online profile, and once that's activated, you can request your police record. Remember, a clean police record opens doors to jobs, travel, and new opportunities. We've come to the end of our program. For a full recap and more, visit our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.